You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey, Days of Our Lives fans, I have got your early weekly spoilers for April 21st through the 25th. Jada is disgusted, Maggie is stunned, and Rachel is revealed. It's Belinda from Soap Dirt. If you're not following us, please reach down, smash that subscribe button. As we always do on early edition day, we start out with what is coming the rest of this week. So on Wednesday, April 16th, we've got Kate and Sammy hanging out and talking. But don't expect Johnny's mom to stay around too much longer. Sammy is planning on heading back to Italy, but she will be back in June for John Black's funeral, and of course back in November for the 60th anniversary of Days. And, you know, Sammy's been busy. She already alienated and insulted Belle and banged Rafe, so, you know, Jada and him are totally over. Hurricane Sammy has done enough damage. She did do some damage control with Johnny, though, and I give her credit for that. Meanwhile, Kristen is holding a gun on Xander and threatening to kill him because of the DiMera takeover, but that's not going to get her too far with her former henchman. That is the gun that they thought shot EJ, but it didn't match on ballistic tests, so JJ and Sean had to cut her loose. But Kristen reportedly will eventually be jailed for the crime. And I've seen a spoiler photo, and I've shown it to you guys before. It's for several months from now, and she is in Statesville Prison blues. So don't get caught up in the false leads on the EJ shooting, although it's likely not her that did the crime. Looks like she will do the time. Rafe and Jada have a chat fresh off of him hooking up with his ex-wife, Sammy. And of course, Rafe's going to insist that he knows that she and Sean were lying when they said it was a one-off. He doesn't believe Jada. He thinks she slept with Sean again because of the blouse he saw in the couch. But Jada's going to write Rafe a reality check. And once she hears from Javi, or possibly from Rafe himself, maybe even from Sammy, who knows, about him getting in bed with his ex, obviously she's going to run back and warm Sean's sheets again. JJ's accusations about Gabby being EJ's shooter are going to infuriate her. But remember, JJ did have to talk her out of shooting EJ a few weeks ago at the DiMera mansion, not long before the guy was actually shot. So can you blame JJ? He's doing his job. He's being a good cop. Plus, Gabby was on the DiMera property that night, and she did not have an alibi, and she was considering taking vengeance, so it's not a good look. JJ has to pursue this lead, but she won't see it that way. Vivian's presence in the Kiriakis mansion is way too much for Maggie to stand, and she wants Phillip to toss Vivian to the curb. Already, Phillip told Xander that he owes Viv for giving birth to him, but Maggie is not going to fall for that excuse, and Phillip may be forced to oust Vivian, which might be why she heads to see Xander later this week. On Thursday, April 17th, Kayla gives Stephanie some advice when she comes looking for wisdom from her mama, and Kristen is shunted out of the DiMera CEO office while Xander remains sitting behind the big desk, and that's where Vivian Alamain finds him towards the end of this week. And boy, does she have something to tell Xander. Watch as Vivian tells him Victor did not write the letter that said Phillip should get the inheritance and that it was the presumption of him being dead that caused it. So Vivian's going to unpack all of that messiness. Also, over in Estonia, it's going to be Orpheus versus Marlena and Steve. And then Marlena is also going to be upset when Steve says they need to call it quits on the search in Estonia because they're just not getting anywhere. Alex is up in Phillip's face about his ongoing deception to Xander. Until this is all out, they are not going to be close as family should be. Also feeling the heat is Sarah, whose guilt leads her to confess to her mama, Maggie, who's going to be less than impressed that her daughter covered up vampire Vivian's dirty deed to defraud Xander. Friday, April 18th, Gabby and Vivian have a vicious confrontation. If you don't remember, Stefan marrying Gabby infuriated Vivian, who hates her, and then she kidnapped and exiled Stefan against his will to Alemania and forged the divorce docs to convince Gabby that Stefan was done with her. And this just reminds me how much much I miss Brandon Barish. Rafe and Sammy talk, and he comes clean to her before she packs her bags for Italy. Are they going to take another roll in the hay? We'll see. And is Rafe going to admit to Sammy that he misread the situation with Jada? Sean and JJ warn Melinda, but the question is why? Do they have new evidence against Kristen, even though the gun they found in her purse didn't match ballistics? Also, Xander is completely enraged and lets Phillip have it good. Looks like time is up on this forgery secret, and I'm going to miss Jean-Paul Lavoisier when he leaves, but he's not gone for good. Early weekly spoilers for April 21st through the 25th remind us to watch for Jada to go check in with Sean now that she knows Rafe slid in the sheets with Sammy. Kristen has lost DiMera Enterprises to Xander, and she isn't totally in the clear for EJ's shooting because JJ and Sean get more info soon, and they still feel like she might have done this, but they just don't have the evidence. Meanwhile, recast Rachel Black will now be played by Alice Halsey, and she debuts on Thursday of this week on the 24th, which is the same day that May Sweeps kicks off. So we'll see if little Rachel did indeed put a bullet in her Uncle EJ. With Phillip's treachery revealed soon, it's only a matter of time before Xander also finds out that his beloved wife, Sarah, did him dirty. She has been conspiring with Phillip with lies and deceit, despite him always putting her first. In defense of Sarah, she didn't do this because she wanted Xander to lose anything. She wanted him to gain a brother, and she wanted to rein in his worst impulses, but it hasn't quite worked out that way. Speaking of Phillip, not much longer before he splits from Salem under a cloud of suspicion about his lies to Xander and stealing half his brother's inheritance. But don't count Phillip out because he's only gone for a few months. JJ may want to keep seeing Gabby now that she's cleared in the EJ shooting case, but she's not interested. Gabby is fit to be tied and is done with JJ, so he's going to have to work very hard to get her back. Belle sticks by EJ, who hopefully wakes up soon, and Tate asks Sophia to the prom, and we're going to have to see if Holly asks Doug 3 in revenge over Tate asking Sophia.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.